You're listening to the Vibrant Vision Podcast, a podcast designed to help you get clarity, increase your confidence, and cultivate the most important connections so you can have the impact you were created to make. I'm your host, Amanda Kerrigan. Now let's get to making that vibrant vision a reality. Hi there, welcome to episode 11 of the Vibrant Vision Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about another confidence killer. This is the second in an 8-part series on things that sabotage us, that kill our confidence, that make us feel like we can't do the things that we are called to do, that we can't live out our vibrant visions like we need to. And this one is one that I hear from myself and I hear from other people as well in my coaching practice and just in my daily life. And that is, I'm too busy, or it's cousin, I don't have enough time. Just don't have the time. And maybe that's true, but more often than not, it's not true. And as a matter of fact, I'm just going to say this, hopefully you're okay with me stepping on your toes a little bit, but more often than not, it's just an excuse. That's what confidence killers tend to be, is they tend to be excuses that hold us small and hold us back. And the fact is, we're all busy. We all feel busy. Even people I know who I'm like, you don't even have a job. Like, how are you busy? And they don't have kids at home either, because believe me, being a full-time mom is a full-time job. But when they don't have kids, they don't have jobs, I'm like, what is keeping you busy? Like, what's going on here? And I realized that our brains just make us feel like we're busy all the time. Even if we're just watching TV, it's something that our brain is doing. And this became very clear to me, 4 years ago. My friend's dad was dying of terminal cancer, and she had set up an appointment for hospice care to come to their home and evaluate what was going on with him and see what kind of services they could offer him. And he said, "Baby, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy." And I guess he was, because he's still kicking. He still has cancer, but he's still making it work. And so I guess he wasn't ready for that particular appointment. But often, I'm too busy results in us playing too small and not doing the things that we really want to do. I would love to write my memoirs, but I'm too busy. It would be great if I could start my business, but I'm too busy. I heard this one the other day. I would love to have a podcast. I don't know how you do it. I'm just so busy. I would sell my paintings, but I'm too busy. I would learn that instrument or learn that song, but I'm just too busy. And now, if you guys know me, you know that I'm a musician, and so that just got really personal for me, because this stuff happens to me all the time. Yeah, I don't have time today. This became very clear to me when I was in elementary school. I think I was in 5th or 6th grade when my dad's friend Ron came to visit. We were talking about my music and how I didn't want to practice piano. And I said, yeah, but I'm so busy with school. Math is really hard, and I just really need to keep my grades up. And he said, let me tell you something. He said, if you wanted it bad enough, you would make it happen. And because you don't want it bad enough, it won't happen. And I was really resistant to that idea. Thinking back on it was one of those moments in life where you realize, yeah, that is the truth. And the cold, hard truth is that when we say we are too busy, what we're really saying is that is not a priority. We are saying, I'm not courageous enough to make my dreams a priority. And that is why I'm too busy is a confidence killer. The fact is, it's easy for us to say, I'm too busy. Our hustle culture treats busy as a badge of honor. It's a way that we can elevate our statuses and make ourselves feel and seem important in our own eyes and in the eyes of others. And it's also a stealthy way that our confidence takes a hit. Every time we say, I'm just too busy to do that, what we're really saying is, I really just don't feel comfortable. I don't feel confident enough to draw a line in the sand and say, you know what, I'm going to take 15 minutes for myself. I'm going to pull out my paintbrushes and I'm going to paint. I'm going to sit down on my instrument and I'm going to play. I'm going to write up a social media post that makes me vulnerable so that people know me in my business. We continue to tell ourselves that we can never do the things that would fulfill us and would fulfill the purposes that have been preordained for our lives because we're just so busy. And consequently, we have a ready-made excuse not to try. And by not trying, we don't risk failure. But as you and I have already discussed on this podcast, by not risking failure, by not trying, we fail anyway. So what's the solution here? Well, the first thing is to find 15 or 30 minutes a day. You might say, I don't have 15 to 30 minutes a day. Well, believe me, you do. This might be a really busy season. You might be taking care of littles, or if you're like my mom, you might be taking care of your parents. My grandparents just moved in with my parents, and we don't know if that's a temporary or a permanent situation right now. But this is a really busy season for my parents. And you might be swamped at work or at school. There will always be reasons. There will always be things that will get in the way of us doing what we need to do. But there are probably some pretty significant time sucks that you could eliminate. Netflix, anyone? Yeah, I just stepped on my own toes too. But there are some pretty significant time sucks that we have that we don't even know what's going on. And when my clients say, I cannot find 15 to 30 minutes a day, I'm like, okay, fine. Write down what you do every day. And you will find that there are little gaps of time that just seem to slip away from you. There are hours that slip away from us when we are not mindful of our time. It's just like spending money. Spending time is the same way. If we don't budget it, if we don't know where it's going, it's going to go to like fast food and Starbucks and things that are temporarily pleasurable, but in the long run, just add extra weight, literally and figuratively, to our lives. So find that 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. Secondly, put it on your calendar. Find that time and then put it on your calendar. If you have an important coffee date with a friend, chances are you put it on your calendar and you don't forget it. This is just like that. It's a commitment to yourself because what gets scheduled gets done. I have a designated time to outline and record this podcast. Does it work all the time? No. Last week was actually quite a big mess with things that were going on in my life, but it works 80% of the time. And if it works 80% of the time, that other 20% is just an anomaly. But if it works 80% of the time, that's 80% of the time where I don't have to think about it. I just sit down at my desk and hit record and talk to you. And failing that, I have a backup plan. Does it always work? No. Again, last week is a primary example. But does it work most of the time? Yes. You've probably heard this, that if you don't establish and live your priorities, someone else will establish those priorities for you, and your calendar will get overrun with somebody else's stuff. So put that on your calendar as a non-negotiable. Maybe it has to happen after the kids go to bed or before your family wakes up or on your lunch break. If that's the case, then make it so. Those are the gaps in your schedule that you have right now. Make it happen. I've had busy seasons. This is a busy season for me. And I keep telling my assistant, I'm like, oh, once things slow down, yeah, they're not going to. And I finally come to that conclusion. And I'm having to rearrange some things on my schedule. And I'm having to remove some things from my schedule that are no longer priorities. And that's hard for me, but it's also necessary because I know what is a priority for me. The third thing is make this a non-negotiable appointment. I have a friend who has an extremely busy job, and it's an important job. And he says that 3 times a week, he is home for dinner with his kids. It's the night that they don't have practice or a game or whatever, but he's home to have dinner with his kids because it's a priority. It's non-negotiable on his schedule. And the only way to combat that confidence killer of I'm too busy, which is really just a way of saying, I don't have the confidence to do that. I don't have the confidence to say that this is a priority and that I'm going to make it a non-negotiable, is to say, I'm never too busy to fill in the blank, go for my morning run, have dinner with my kids, write 100 words on my book, pick up my instrument, put together my business plan, work that business plan because that is really where the rubber meets the road. Anybody can plan. Not everybody can work the plan. Connect with one person a day who will help me build my business. Record a podcast episode. Anybody? Write a social media post. Work on my painting. I'm never too busy to do these things, because when we tell ourselves that we are too busy to chase our dreams, we cheat ourselves, but more importantly, we cheat the world and we cheat God. We say, I'm too busy, and we bury our talent in the ground instead of investing it and getting a return on investment. And that slowly erodes our confidence. So to wrap up, here's my 3-step action plan for you today. Find 15 to 30 minutes. Find 5 minutes. Okay? If you can't find 15, find 5. 5 minutes. Start with 5 minutes. Make it so easy. Put it on your calendar and then make it non-negotiable. I'm never too busy to. If you found this podcast episode really helpful, I'd really appreciate a review. It helps me reach other people. And if you could just share it on social media, that would be super helpful as well. And some final words for you. You're never too busy. You've got this. You can make your dreams a reality if you make them a priority. So I just want to encourage you today that it doesn't have to be so hard. It doesn't have to be such a struggle. And you don't have to feel so busy, because you matter. Your dreams matter. Your calling matters. And so take I'm busy out of your vocabulary. It's eroding your confidence, and it's robbing the world of what they need from you. I'll be back next week with another episode on confidence killers. In the meantime, if you need anything from me, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're on social media. You can search Vibrant Vision Coaching, or you can email me at amanda@vibrantvision.coach. And I will be back with you next week. Until then, live your vibrant vision.